Member Monday. Member Monday. Getting to know people at Urban Place.
Urban Place. Upgrade your life's work.
Hello and welcome to Member Monday. Today from newly blocked Jerusalem, but we made it. We have with us
Paul Shindman
and Eliyahu Skoczylas.
And what do?
We drive, and we're working on the transition to autonomous vehicles in public transportation.
In public transportation, what does that entail?
Well, when you take the bus driver out of the bus, what do the passengers do? And we know, and as the industry is coming to know right now, that when that starts happening, it's going to take many years for cities to make the transition to a full fleet of fully autonomous buses. So what happens during that? Who's going to help the passengers? Who takes control of the bus if something goes wrong?
You tell me.
Yeah, one of the first things that we were developing was remote intervention. There are only a few companies that were working in that space, and we saw that the need is different for remote intervention in buses than it is in smaller vehicles, because a lot of the intervention has to do with passenger interaction. In other words, it's not just what you do when a dog runs into the road. It's, do you not close the door on somebody that's getting on or off? And we see this, that they have automatic doors working on the backs of buses now, and people are constantly getting stuck and screaming at the driver, no, open the door, close the door. There's a lot of passenger support that's required on a city bus that isn't needed in an autonomous vehicle, in a smaller size vehicle.
One of the products that we have is something we call the Intervid. It's a two-way communications that when you get on the bus, there's no driver there, but there will be a screen with the driver. Like, you're going to take the driver out of the bus.
Teledriver.
Something like that. He'll be sitting in our control center, at a We-Drive control center.
And he controls several buses.
Well, at the beginning, it'll be one-to-one as the technology improves, and eventually he or she can control a whole line of buses. But the passenger gets on, and the passengers still want to know, how do I get off at this stop? Or, oh, I got on the wrong bus, and now I think I'm on the right bus. Can you help me? To boil it down, we started with the solution for the transition to autonomous public transportation, meaning driverless buses. What's the solution for that? When we were describing this to potential customers, transit operators in Europe and North America, they said, the control center, well, the autonomous buses are years away, but this communications thing, can we see it now?
We need it for buses that have drivers.
Buses that have drivers, bus stops where there are a lot of people waiting and changes, and especially like a day like today in Jerusalem, when they've made a massive change and there's huge confusion, and hundreds of people, if not thousands, are saying, where do I get my bus? Where do I go?
Yeah, we saw the line to the elevator getting out of the train from Ben Gurion.
As we worked, then we found in our market research that the customers want this kind of support for disabled passengers today. People with challenges in communications, the people who are partially sighted, people who are hearing impaired, people who are cognitively impaired, and another very interesting group, people who are linguistically impaired, specifically foreigners, people who are vacationing. Those people have a hard time as it is getting information about the buses and how they can travel in a city that they don't know. And we're providing technology that will let them be assisted more easily.
We reached out to accessibility activists, to disability rights people. And one of them is a guy named David Lepofsky, who's a very well-known disability rights activist in Canada. He loved the idea. He actually comes to Israel a lot and does advising for different disability rights groups in Israel. And he pointed us at Beit Izzy Shapiro in Ra'anana. And for listeners who aren't familiar with Beit Izzy Shapiro, it's an amazing organization that makes Israel more accessible to people with disabilities. So went and met with them, and they love the idea too. So we're pushing ahead with this, and we reached out and we applied for European funding. The Europeans are heavily into disability access, and they're coming up with new legislation that transit operators are going to have to be compliant with. And our device hopefully will help them.
We also see that there's a move already in Europe, and they're starting here in Israel as well, to isolate the driver from the passenger.
To have the driver concentrate on driving and not giving information and dealing with cash.
Yeah.
Well, and that's happening in Israel now with the Rav-Kav, that they find that the buses are going to move faster if everybody just swipes their card. And if you don't talk to the driver, it'll go even faster than that. But passengers, especially in Israel where there are millions of tourists, they need questions answered. And we found that this is a need all over the world. So our market is worldwide. And the interest in the product also is worldwide.
Are we going to see a product in Israel in the near future?
We'll be doing some testing here locally, but our main focus is on very densely populated large cities. And
I think we have a few of those.
Not compared to London or Paris.
Right. We talked to London, we've talked to Paris. You can think of a place like New York. I mean, as dense as we like to think of ourselves here in Israel, the fact is that the entire population of Israel is moving in and out of Manhattan every morning.
Member Monday. Member Monday. Getting to know people at Urban Place.
What's it like to work at a shared office space?
Right now, we love it. We have a lot of flexibility here. We're getting some good backup from the Urban Place management and staff for the stuff we need, and it's gives us quiet headspace to move ahead with our development. Plus, it is centrally located. We come in and it's at the bus station where you get dumped off and picked up. So it's a great location.
We also like that we're hoping to hire some people soon as we get our funding. And this is a big help for us that we don't have to worry about human resources issues the same way. We've got happy hours. We don't have to have a social planner to provide things that other employees would like, because that's provided for us by Urban Place.
And as a startup, you want to put 100% of your effort into developing your new products rather than, oh my God, we ran out of coffee, or the wheel on the chair broke and somebody has to run out and get it fixed. That's all taken care of, and it lets us concentrate 100% on our work.
Thank you very much, Paul Shindman.
And thank you. A pleasure being here.
And Eliyahu Skoczylas.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
And thank you to our listeners. If you're members and would like to be featured on this podcast, contact your community manager. Also contact her if you'd like to produce your own podcast or advertise in existing podcasts. Or you could contact us at go@podcasty.co. I'm Yido Kainan. See you next week.
This was another episode of Member Monday. Getting to know people at Urban Place. Member Monday. If you want to be featured on the show, contact us at up@podcasty.co.